Have you ever wondered where your head should be at impact with an iron and a driver? Is there any difference from our setup position? Make sure you stay tuned to find out more. Welcome back to the TruGolf Academy. You've joined me, Jon Watts, today at Branston Golf and Country Club. Today's video is all going to be about our head position at impact with an iron and a driver. Is there a difference? Is there a difference between setup position? It's a question I've got a couple of times in the last few weeks on social media. It's a great way to get in touch, either posting some comments below to this video or check out my Facebook, my Instagram, my Twitter account. The links are all below. Great ways to get in touch. Let me know what videos you'd like to see me film on, and we can actually get some content that's really relevant for you, the viewer. So the questions were, as I said, about the head position at impact with an iron and driver. Is it any different? So I'm going to talk about that today, and I'm going to be demonstrating with a driver and a mid-iron, so a 7-iron. And I'm actually going to be in this video using my force platform, so my body track system, because I think our setup position has a lot of relevance to our head position. So this is a force platform that just measures how much pressure I'm applying to the ground through my left foot, my right foot, my heel, my toe. So what I'm more interested in here is the left-right balance. So my left side is my lead foot, my trail side here is my right side, and that's what you're going to be seeing on the screen as well, is some force platform data to go along with head position. So I'll try and slow down the swings when I go ahead and hit them. So I think our head position is set at setup really by where our pressure is left-right, hence using this body track system. So what I like to see with a mid-iron in my hand is slightly favouring my lead leg at setup. So if I get myself quite centred here, I want to be about 55 to 60% onto my lead foot at setup with a iron, with a mid-iron here. And what that will help me produce is my shoulders closer to level. You'll see, because my trail hand is lower than my lead hand on the golf club, this is going to be lower, but we want it to be lower by closer to 10 degrees. So if I get into my setup here with pressure slightly favouring my lead foot, you will see at setup, if I stay still there, my trail shoulder is lower than my lead shoulder, but by around 10 degrees or so. With a driver, we get a different head position because we're setting our weight or our pressure differently. So if I jump into a driver, I won't bother putting this on a tee just yet. So around there, I need to keep the logo in the middle of my feet. So I'm moving the ball position a little bit more forwards where I play it with a driver. So with a driver, what I like to see is actually 60-40 favouring my trail foot. So I want to see more pressure onto my right side at setup. And we do that quite simply by just tilting our upper body. I don't like to see our hips being pushed out of alignment. I want my hips quite centred between my inside edges of my feet, but I'm going to tilt my upper body away from the target. And you will now see, if I stay at setup there, that sets my trail shoulder about 20 degrees now, at least lower than this shoulder, my lead shoulder, and that sets my head behind the golf ball. So with an iron, where my pressure was actually 60-40 lead foot, my head was more centred over the top of the golf ball. Whereas with a driver, the ball's gone more forwards and my shoulders have tilted more behind the golf ball, and that's set my head behind it there. For me, if we can get our setup position correct, we can pretty much keep our head where it was at address. So I like our head to be starting to rotate, but that doesn't mean we're moving its position. We're just starting to rotate our head into impact and allow us to follow the flight of the golf ball. But that doesn't mean we want our head to change space we were in there. If we start getting our head moving forwards, this way we're often hitting too much down on the golf ball. That can be destructive with both golf clubs. If our head was a long way behind the golf ball at impact, so if I was starting to lean away from the target, with an iron that can cause some strike issues. With the driver, I might get it okay, hitting up on it a lot, but generally my pressure is going in the wrong direction. So I like to see our head position being set at address and then maintained. Now actually, if you look at a lot of elite golfers, especially hitting a driver very hard, you may see that their head actually moves a little bit backwards into impact. It's just the amount of force being applied towards their lead leg on the start of the downswing, and then as their body starts to extend into impact with the amount of force they've applied, the head is moving up and a little bit backwards. Now, some movement is absolutely fine, especially with the driver when we're trying to generate real force. I think when you see most elite golfers with a mid-iron in their hand here, you will see that their head position, as my bag falls over, you will see that their head position is very much maintained into impact. I think it's only really the driver off that tee peg with the amount of force that's being applied that you may see a little head movement. But I wouldn't consciously try and make that move. I would actually get your setup correct in terms of where your pressure is. So iron to driver. With that iron in my hand, my shoulders were more level. My pressure was slightly favouring my lead leg, and that got my head quite well centred over the top of the golf ball there, and I want to maintain that position into impact. With a driver, that ball got more forwards in my stance, and I want to see a little tilt of shoulders behind the golf ball, not changing my hips, to set 60% onto my back foot. So there's a change from 60 front foot to 60 back foot, and that means my head is much further behind the golf ball, and we're just trying to maintain that position to help us actually strike slightly upwards on the golf ball. If there was excessive head movement forwards or backwards, that would be detrimental to your golf swing. So what I would suggest you do, and I don't think I need this now, having shown you just the data there at setup, I would, if there was excessive head movement one way or another way, would really affect the strike. So how I'd look at that is by getting yourself on video. This angle is great from a face on camera. There's some cheap or free apps you can use to draw a circle around your head, perhaps some lines up from the outside edges of your feet, and you could see how your body was moving. We're talking obviously about head position here, so the circle around your head would be very relevant, and we'd just see, does it stay in the same position into impact. Now, don't think that I'm telling you to keep your head down, because as soon as we've struck the golf ball, we want our head to really moving up and around. And I even like to see, as we're coming into impact, that our head is starting to rotate. That doesn't mean it's changed position, it just means my head is starting to rotate there. Let me go ahead and hit one shot for you. So I'll just do the setup more with the iron. So I've got a 7 iron here. So I'm going to be feeling a little bit more pressure onto my lead foot. That gets my head quite centered over the golf ball. And we're trying to maintain head position as much as possible. So that felt pretty solid, and hopefully you'll see on camera that my head stayed roughly in the same spot. With a driver, I'll hit one more actually, with a driver, my head is starting further behind, but it's maintaining position. So balls more forwards, hips stay the same, tilt with upper body away from the target, 60% of my pressure onto my back foot, my head is slightly behind the golf ball, and we're just looking for it to maintain its position. Until around impact, where my head is definitely starting to move up and left as my body extends. We're not asking you to keep your head down in any way. I hope that video's helped. I hope that's cleared up your head position. For me, if you can get that setup correct, the head position will start to take care of itself. If that video has helped, make sure you hit the thumbs up and do subscribe to my channel. It's the best way to stay in touch and never miss a video again. Thanks guys, we'll see you soon.